You're listening to the 904wed.com Real Talk, Real Wedding podcast with a very real bride right there at the bottom of your screen. That is Amber Flowers. And right above her is Ann LaFiles of Premier Bride, the magazine, the expo that is right around the corner. We have got a great podcast lined up for you today as we follow Amber on her wedding journey, finding out what has happened in the last week. The last time we spoke, we were in the middle of her engagement party on the river with fireworks. It sounded amazing. If you haven't heard that podcast, you got to go back and listen to it. And we were talking to Ann about Premier Bride and her expo coming up in the middle of this pandemic. Mask on, mask off, temperature checks. We got to check in. What's going on with all of this? What's the latest with you right now, Ann, and the expo that's coming up?
Well, we are going full steam ahead. I mean, we have the expo in July at the Prime Osborne, and then we have the one coming up in September at the Renaissance. And, it really is business as usual. I mean, I think that, people are putting in place the special guidelines, the CDC, making sure that everybody's safe with temperature checks, making sure people wear masks indoors. So, safety is our number one priority. And we're excited for brides and grooms and couples to connect with wedding professionals because, let's face it, people haven't been able to do a lot of face-to-face meetings since this pandemic hit, and people are excited to start the wedding planning process for the first time or work on the postponement, which has happened, unfortunately, a lot.
There have been, unfortunately, lots of those. That has not been the case with you, Amber. Your wedding is in 2021, so you still have time. Lots of things, hopefully will get better over the next several months leading up to your wedding. But what have you been up to this last week?
I kind of actually took a little bit off. I needed after that party, I needed a break. Let's just face it. I didn't realize how exhausting it was because, and we kind of go behind the scenes. And then when you're actually the bride, in front, you're like, oh my gosh, this is exhausting to have to go through and talk to every single person. So I was taking a little time off and paying attention to details, that I kind of need to pay a little bit more attention to.
You feel like every wedding vendor after a bridal expo, right? Exhausted from talking to everyone.
That's so true.
I can understand what that must be like for you. So taking off week is okay, right? There's no one says that a bride has to be planning every single minute of every day, every week. So good for you for not stressing yourself out. And that's a great message for any bride out there that might be listening, right? It's okay to take a little breather, especially after a big party weekend, right? And collect your thoughts, right? So what have you done during your off week then?
There's gifts, and not a lot of people. I don't really know the etiquette of a engagement party because we get a lot of questions. What gifts do we bring? So some brought gifts, and with that, I started the thank you cards, which everybody that either sent a gift, I got their mailing address because you know how difficult it is to get every single one of your guests' mailing address. So with that time, I actually saved so much money ordering thank you cards. I customized myself, and I, you could search online for codes, and I saved 70% on my thank you cards. And I was shocked. So I did that on my downtime.
That's good for your wedding budget right there to save a little bit of money on those thank you notes. And is it when it comes to etiquette, like Amber was asking, how often do thank you notes need to be sent out? I know there's not a normal, there's not a standard. I'm just curious. What is, in your opinion, is it after every party? Is it just?
Yes. I think that thank you cards, there is an etiquette to thank you cards, and I can't stress it enough. I think that brides and grooms and couples need to send out thank yous to their guests, when people do bring a gift. I know that there's no rules in weddings anymore, but I think that there is etiquette, and a thank you card is at the top of it. You know what I mean? It's not like people super expect it, but I think that I think people do. It's nice to be recognized, and I think it's nice for the couples to send them out for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any solutions or suggestions for Amber and other brides that are struggling with just address collection in today's times?
Yeah. So, what's really interesting is, and I'm going to just say this personally, this is what I've done. is I always created an Excel file where I kept every, the first name of each person, their last name, their street address, their city, their state, all their information in different columns. And I use that Excel list, not just for like when I did my wedding, and I did my bridal showers and I did all that. But even moving forward, if you send out Christmas cards and things like that, you always have that list available for you. And thank you cards, they can be labels. You know what I mean? I don't think that there's anything wrong with making labels instead of handwriting out all the addresses. So it's going to save you a ton of time if you keep a file like on your computer.
Amber, I've got to ask for all the guys out there. Was your fiance a part of this thank you note signing and writing process? Did you get him into it, or was he hands-off?
He was very hands-on by making sure I had the spelling correct. So I wrote a list, just like Ann said. It's so much easier, and I completely agree. Writing a list, getting as many details as you can. But yeah, he wasn't really that hands-on.
You don't have to write a lot, a simple thank you, it was great to see you, we appreciate the gift. Perfectly fine.
You could
and
at least
I was trying to do it online, the new thing that you can send them through their email, and they can open it up, because they're going to take about a week, 8 days or so to get in, and that was even with rush. So I wanted to at least reach out to some of the people that did, not I'm going to write it for everybody that did attend, but the gifts, I wanted to reach out first. I did feel bad because I was like, they're going to take and they're going to think I'm not thanking them, or I didn't open it in time. So I reached out. I did get some swag there too. Yeah.
Look at that. I was just thinking.
I finally got one. Yeah.
I was thinking you at least had your fiance, Chris, do the licking and the sticking when it came to those thank you notes to save you any chance of getting, any cuts or bruises anywhere there.
And it's calories too. Each envelope you lick is 8 calories.
Really? What? I did not know that.
Yeah, 2 to 8 calories between the envelope and the stamp itself. So we're counting calories. Yeah.
And is busting up everyone's diet here with the licking of thank you card envelopes at 8 calories each.
Not know that.
That's where it all went wrong for me. I just sent so many thank yous out. I just
most important tip of the podcast right there. So Amber, you've mentioned that you did something with wax stamps. All right. So I'm going to play dumb. I really don't know exactly what a wax stamp is. I think I do, but explain this to me. What was the idea behind it?
I'm new at this. So one of the gifts was from actually one of his groomsmen was a wax, and I actually have it next to me because I didn't really know, but it's something that I really wanted to do, and I was looking at it online. So it's a small kit, and it has M because on the bottom of it, and you burn the wax, and then you dip it in your color, and you stamp it on the back of the envelope. Now, I haven't done this yet. I love the idea of it, but my maid of honor, she did this for her wedding, and she gave me a great tip. She said, listen, go ahead and burn the wax and do it. If you want to do it on your own, you can, but burn it and then put it on with glue, because get the wax and have it done, and then put it on with glue because it tends to break and fall off and, in the mail. So it's something, a good little tip that she gave me during her process, because she made all of hers.
Pretty
I don't really know. I will tell you, I will do this week and tell you how the results are. And I don't know if I'll have to order another kit or not.
And I just have to ask, for those brides and grooms that maybe know they should be doing this, but they don't want to, is this something you can ask a wedding planner to do? Or is that a big no-no? Wedding planners might send out the invites, but they're not going to do your thank you notes for you.
No. No, I mean, somebody will label them for you, and they might stuff them for you, and they might put the stamps on and take them to the post office for you. But, that simple, little handwritten note, I don't think that they could do for you. But I'm sure if someone paid somebody enough, they would. And if your guests don't know your handwriting, then you're safe.
There you go. But we're not going to find that thank you note writing vendor at the expo. We will find lots of other vendors there, I'm sure, but not that one.
But yes. Not usually the thank you writing, but that's really funny. But just keep in mind too that etiquette-wise, you have 6 months to send out thank yous. People don't really expect them right away. So don't stress completely about that, because they know that you have time, and you're busy and things are going on. So you have kind of like a 6-month window to send out a
Got it.
Okay,
Well,
that's good to know.
Speaking of invitations, you did something really neat last podcast. And if you're watching this and you haven't seen it, you got to go back and watch. Anne busted out her wedding invite. It was gorgeous. It was off the chain. I remember it, and I'm not one that gets real excited about invites, but that was pretty cool what you did.
Yeah.
How has that inspired you at all, Amber? Has that affected you in any way?
Oh my gosh. So when she said it, like the light bulb, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I love this idea. I'm extremely close to my Nana, and, she passed, and I wanted to put something into every step of the way and have her involved. And, also Chris's grandmother as well. So when Anne gave me the idea, well, she was talking about it, and that's, like I said, when the light bulb went off. So there's a really special card that my grandmother wrote out to me, and I keep it by my bedside in my book. And I am going to take the font from here that is just on the front of the card, and I'm going to now pick that as my wedding font. That's new to me. I didn't know there has to be a consistent font throughout everything. So I picked that, and then the roses that are on the front of it are the English garden roses. And I'm going to put that into the bouquet and spread some stuff around. Maybe on the tables, I have to, work on that word budget. So that's the next chapter. But the flowers are the next chapter. But I just wanted to thank you, Anne, because you really inspired me to kind of put that in to the invitation. And I love that idea.
Well, that's super cool. Sweet. I love it.
I love it. We're branding weddings, and maybe that's been a thing for a while, but that's pretty cool to hear. It's something businesses have done for years and years to make their branding, standard. But how do you go about identifying what font that is? Do you have any tips or suggestions?
Right. Yes. I have my maid of honor is incredible. She's so talented, and she just said, "Hey, listen, we just need to scan that. We'll go onto the computer. We'll figure it out, and we'll scan up." So she has a program that she uses because she, like I told you before, she makes all the koozies and the bachelorette swag gear and stuff like that. So she's really helping me out with it. And like I said, she did her invitations for her wedding, and they were that laser cut that you were showing. They were very similar, but difficult because they said she was like, I'm going crazy with this. But so she's helped me out with the font and finding the font.
Awesome.
Is this something, Anne, that you are hearing more of? Has this always been this way, having a special font as something that brides and grooms should be picking out early on, go on some of these font websites and find the right font that is meaningful to you?
Yes and no. I mean, I know that people love to customize their invitation sometimes. And if you go on, there's so many levels of invitations, first off. And I will say that invitations for a lot of couples might not be at the top of their priority list. So they might go with something a little bit more simple. But I think people who have a creative side and, maybe love paper and love the design aspect of things will really love invitations. Like, it was one of my favorite parts of my wedding, which sounds really weird. But it was one of it was one of my most gratifying aspects of it because of what we created. So, and the invitation stays around forever. It's like the photos, you get to keep the invitation. So
clearly,
I always say the invitation sets the tone of the wedding. So, people get a really nice invitation, and they're expecting, some cool stuff. So that was just nice.
Do you think that influences the way people dress and show up?
I knew that was
yes.
coming. I knew that was. I was like, flip-flops or bare feet immediately clicked in my
No flip-flops on your invitation, no seashells, nothing that implies beach, Amber.
No.
Okay. Well, let's just say this. I have seen some really crazy invitations. Like, even if you watch some of the wedding shows on cable television, you will see some really extravagant invitations where they come in a huge box and you open it up and butterflies fly out. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
No one's gonna wear flip-flops to a wedding where butterflies are flying out, or you see like bejeweled, bedazzled invitations. They're gonna say, you know what, this is probably gonna be a little bit fancier of a wedding, so I'm gonna step up my wardrobe and my footwear. So you're right. I mean, it sets a precedent.
Very important.
I don't
That's
have many cards that are going to go into mine. I'm just going to have one card that is going to be pulled out and it's going to say no flip.
I swear I'm going to have to find a whole new pair of shoes. Because
I just never realized this was a thing for people wearing flip-flops to a wedding, but we are in Florida. This is Jacksonville. I don't know. Maybe it's a thing.
Flip-flops. I'm not saying like the rubber flip-flops, but
no rubber flip-flops. But if your feet hurt, there's going to be stuff that's going to be there to make sure you just keep your feet covered. I just don't want dirty bottom feet barefoot. So I understand the open-toed thing. That's fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh boy. Speaking of relaxing and taking some time off, you took some time off this week, Amber, to just kind of collect your thoughts. But I know that there was still wedding on the brain, right? So something had to be going through. What's on your mind right now? What are you focused on this far out?
Right now, we just started actually talking about the honeymoon, like different ideas. And then you go online and you just start looking and you're like, oh my gosh, where is the next place with this next chapter of COVID? Where could it possibly be that is going to be a safe zone? Is it going to be? You don't know. So right now we've been thinking about and planning the honeymoon location. And
it's a great
hard
question
right now to kind of do that.
Yeah, it really is. And I'm sure you've got one.
Hire a travel agent. 100%. I mean, there is, like what people don't understand about travel agents is they are literally free. All right. They make their money off of promotions that certain resorts and things like that do. The resorts give a percentage to travel agents who book through their stuff. So they try and incentivize the travel agents that way. So using a travel agent usually costs you. It doesn't cost you anything, and it honestly saves you money. It's not like it's not like the resort marks it up to have a travel agent sell it to you.
They find the deals of it.
Yes, it's not how it works. And I now am totally spoiled. I use a travel agent pretty much for any international travel I do because they will save you so much headache. And especially like COVID story. I was booked on a cruise with my family and my parents, and we were going on the cruise when they canceled the cruises. And honestly, having a travel agent was a godsend because they are connected through the cruise lines and they handle everything for you. So I'm sure you've heard the stories of people calling the cruise lines and being on hold for 8, 10, 12 hours. Well, travel agents have their own numbers that they call. So I was able to get information like that. I mean, it was the best thing I've ever done. And we used a travel agent when we went on our honeymoon too. They're just going to help you. They're going to help you out with everything. They're going to be able to tell you where the safe resorts are. They're going to tell you, what countries are going to be closed, and if they are closed, they're going to move stuff around for you. And they offer good travel insurance that, let's face it, everybody needs travel insurance now.
Everybody needs travel insurance.
We've learned a lesson. And my travel insurance for my cruise was, I think like $350 for my family. So, nothing. Yeah. You know what I mean? For what we did.
No, that's a great now.
Yeah. The last thing you want to do is get married, right? Go on your honeymoon or think you're going to go and start your marriage off on the very wrong foot with some travel issues or lost luggage.
When you just want a vacation from all of this.
Right.
You need visas sometimes, you need certain travel documents, you need, flights. And like, if there's anything wrong, you pick up your travel agent and literally they will fix it for you. So
yeah, that's excellent. Now wait, so when I go to the bridal show this weekend,
yes.
I've never talked to a travel agent. They're going to be any?
What? You've never talked to a travel agent about your honeymoon plans at all? This is so funny to me.
I am actually well traveled, believe it or not, and I planned everything meticulously myself. I've even taken the little Google man and walked the streets of like, all right, I know where to go when I'm, in Europe or in Spain. So I have never ever had a travel agent or have dealt with one. So this is very new to me. I love this because I'm like, okay, travel agent.
It's a great
Now,
tip. And Anne, how many travel agents are going to be at the show on average or normally?
I never allow more than 4 travel agents at the show. So that's my max. Honestly, like there's 3 of them that have been at every single show I think I've done in the last at least 7 years. I'll name them out because it's Palm Travel Group, it's Riverside Tours and Travel, and it's Cruise Planners. And then we have other travel agents that are great too, but they don't come to every single expo. But those 3 are the ones that you will see at every single show. And they'll be there.
I'll be stopping by.
Figure out, yeah. And what do you tell people? You have 3 travel agents. I happen to know one of them. I know Mary Frankie Rogers of Riverside Tours and Travel. I've used her myself, and I learned, just like you're mentioning here to Amber and any other person that's watching, that I thought travel agents were kind of a thing of the past, but really, really helpful to have a travel agent, even for non-wedding travel. And what Mary taught me was it's not just the promos she gets. I thought maybe they might tend to push some of those, and really I didn't get that vibe at all. She actually goes to these places herself. So when she's giving me advice about a cruise ship or a certain destination, more than likely she's been there. And her bonus, I guess, as a travel agent, the more trips she books, she gets free trips to go to these places and check them out and refer them to her clients. And that is huge. And I'm finding that a lot of these travel agencies specialize or have agents inside them that specialize in certain types of travel. So they're the expert at what they're talking about. Really, really great advice.
I love it. Yeah.
They're going to know. Like they've been to all of these. And if you follow them on social media, they're constantly traveling and taking pictures and giving you like full rundowns. So you want to know like what you want an all-inclusive resort. They're going to give you tons of different options for that. You want a cruise.
Yeah, and that was another thing. Yep. All-inclusive. That was something that we talked about. Do we want to do that? All of our friends are like, you have to. It's the best. But, we're thinking, Greece isn't a bad idea. But is it? With now a travel agent, I'm like, wait a minute. I have a lot of questions, but that is something all-inclusive. Everybody kept saying that's what you really want to do. You just want to go and be able to put everything down. You have all your food, your alcohol, and everything is right there. And, if you want to do an excursion, everything's right there. So it's going to be good to talk to a travel agent. I like Wes just said, you think it's a thing of, I haven't heard of one in a while, but I've also, who wants to plan during a wedding, also your full honeymoon and have to be on that schedule that you planned? It just sounds, it sounds too much. Like, I don't want to deal with that.
Yeah, I recommend, we used a Sandals resort and we went to St. Lucia.
Highly recommended. Yep.
And Sandals has 3 properties on St. Lucia. And the cool thing about Sandals, at all their locations is you might stay at one, but you can play at all of them. So they have shuttle buses that take you to all the different resorts. You can eat there, you can drink there. And the great thing is like you're not carrying a purse, you're not worried about money, you're not worried about anything. They bring you food, you can get a butler service, which is awesome. Somebody that you get a special little phone and you call them and, they'll go and reserve your seat. I know.
I need that phone.
It's great. So I would highly recommend it. We definitely
that's
on our honeymoon.
I have to say, I did that myself for our honeymoon, and having that phone with the butler service, we had kids with us. That was everything right there, being able to do that. And here's something else I learned too, talking to a travel agent recently. They'll even do mystery honeymoons. Now, I'm not suggesting that for everybody, but they will book a mystery honeymoon. You don't know where you're going until after your wedding, and you open up that envelope and it's all planned out for you.
I don't think Amber could handle that.
Never. Oh my God. I could just imagine my luck would be like, okay, I'm bad about, just one bag is packed with bikinis and fun. And then all of a sudden you're like, you're going to Iceland or Alaska.
I'm sure they talk to you about your preferences and your likes and just, I'm just throwing that out there. But Good for you for looking at this early. I don't know how early someone should really be looking at honeymoon plans, but I figure on an off week for you this far out with all the uncertainty, it probably doesn't
and all
hurt
I can think about is a vacation. Yeah,
right. There'll be something to look forward to and focus on and relax about for sure coming up. No question about it. Amber, I got to say, I'm shocked at this point that we haven't talked about shoes. Quite frankly.
Oh,
what are you holding something back here? Are you not worried about shoes at all?
I'm always worried about shoes, but like I told you, I was just dealing with this time off. I mean, I just had to go through a little retail therapy too. I mean, what I found online that's really cool? I try before you buy. So where I'm getting married, that's funny because I haven't really picked my ceremony area yet. So I have to have different shoes, but I have picked the dress. So I ordered a few different pairs online, and I know Amazon does it, and I actually have been favoring, and I can say it, Bradley Mishka shoes. I really love their look, and they come with a chunky heel if I'm going to be walking, in one ceremony area. So anyway, I didn't even purchase. I have 3 on the way, and it's through the wardrobe, and I send back what I don't want, and they charge me for what I do. Excellent. You can't go into stores now and like you have mask on, you don't feel like yourself, and you want to sit there and strut in your shoes, and you can't do it. So I'm like, okay, well, why not? So I kind of did a little retail therapy. I'm not hiding anything. I'll show them when they come in.
I'm sure you will. And I just have to ask, are there shoe specific vendors at the expo, or is that not something we go into there?
Well, I will say that Dillard's comes to almost all of my expos, and Dillard's has a fabulous shoe collection. Even though it's Dillard's home department that comes, but Dillard's really does carry nice lines of
absolutely
bridal shoes. So that was a great place to check out. Betsy Johnson has some really nice shoe lines for weddings. That's the person that I wore. And I love it because all of her soles of her shoes are blue. So if you need something blue,
yes,
you got the sole of the shoe.
A good touch. That's a good touch.
Yeah, that's how you know it's a part of her bridal collection. I don't know if she planned that, but in my head, that's what I came up with.
Shoes are important.
They are. Unless they're flip-flops, and then they're not important at all. Amber.
Oh,
I had multiple pairs of shoes. And girls wear multiple pairs. Yes. I had custom Jack Rogers made, too, with my new monogram on them. And they were in blue. So as soon as I was done with the ceremony and could kick off my heels, I put on my custom Jack Roger new monogram shoes, which I still own and wear today.
Just a little easier to dance in.
Yes.
Well, and Amber, you guys have been a great resource, and the tips that you have, the information you have to share is incredible. Dropping tips on people that have been in the wedding business. Amber, myself, we're not new to this, and we're still learning things every podcast. And Amber, it's been great to see you enjoying yourself. You look a little bit more relaxed this week. That's good.
Yes, I'm feeling good.
You got centered. So what's coming up in the next week? Tease us with what the next podcast will hold.
Well, I was supposed to be in Ohio, so Ohio got canceled due to COVID. So we are going on a hunt for a location to take some engagement photos because we had a place in Ohio to take them. And unfortunately, like I said, that has been canceled. So we're going to take some time with ourselves and we're going to go out to different locations around Orlando all the way into Volano.
That sounds like it's going to be tons of fun for you guys as a couple, a little romantic bonding experience there.
Yeah.
So good for you guys. Can't wait to hear how that goes on our next podcast. For those of you listening, please be sure to subscribe to our channels here. Follow us. We are going to be following Amber all the way through her wedding date and maybe after. I don't know where this is going to take us. Maybe even we'll throw some other brides in here as well. And thank you so much for joining us. I hope that your Premier Bride Expo here in the middle of this COVID pandemic is successful. I'm sure it will be. You put a lot of planning into it. Amber, I hope that you continue to enjoy your time off this week. as you work on your engagement photo shoot location planning.
Yes, and I'll be at Sunday at the show.
Yeah, so people should come say hi to you if they recognize you. That'd be great, right?
Absolutely.
Don't be shy. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you, talk to you, get your questions, and maybe even feature you guys on this show. So we will see you on our next podcast. Thank you so much, everyone. Check us out at 904wed.com.